Everyone knows that Star Wars fans are opinionated. This whole situation with Star Wars theory is just flat out insane. Recently, there's been pushback from some in the fandom about Star Wars theory attending cons and selling his theory lightsabers, specifically ICCC Con in Nashville. But it isn't their actions or their comments that are that surprising. Actually, it shows exactly why Star Wars is so broken. But the real problem isn't the opinions of people who disagree. It's actually much deeper than that. Let's talk about it.
Force will be with you.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the Force Fandom. My name is Jeremy, and this is a channel for regular fans who love Star Wars. And today we're going to be diving into some of the things we've talked about before, which is people accusing other content creators of things they just haven't done or haven't said. This isn't anything new that people are coming after the likes of Star Wars theory. If you're online for any amount of time, and especially for the amount of time that he's been on, nearly 10 years on Star Wars, and grown to be the largest creator in the YouTube space talking about Star Wars, you're going to get people that don't like you and that disagree. But most of, if not all of, the criticism that it is being given here in this case, there's no evidence. And when people are asked and say, hey, you say he's sexist, you say he's misogynistic, you say all these things, what evidence do you have? He's got 9-10 years almost of content up on YouTube. Surely there's a cut and an edit of all of the things that he said that make you feel this way. Well, one comment on Instagram said, hey, go to the Mark Hamill video about the 3-minute mark and you'll see what I'm talking about. So I did. I'm going to play it for you. This is the reasoning. This is the thing that came to mind when they said, hey, show me the sexism. Show me how he hates women in Star Wars.
When I was a kid, in the 90s and 2000s, we're not talking about these new age Star Wars fans that Disney has amassed. It wasn't really all that cool to be talking about Star Wars all the time. It was more of like a hush-hush secret thing, but only amongst your friends and nerds and geeks, real geeks. Like now you have like e-girls being like, I'm such a nerd, I'm such a geek. It's like, no, you're an opportunist.
So he mentions e-girls and how e-girls are opportunistic. No, he's not saying every female fan in Star Wars. No, he's not saying, hey, there shouldn't be women in Star Wars. He's specifically talking about e-cam girls that get on the internet who are most oftentimes looking for attention and are now trying to find their way into the Star Wars universe. Now, you could read into this and say that he's saying every single girl who talks about Star Wars online is an e-girl. That's not what he's saying. But what he's saying is there's a new wave of fandom that is what Disney has wanted and has reached out to and has kind of given attention to and replied to their posts and done things like that. He's signaling out those. Now, even if you disagree with that opinion that he brings, that's the sexism. But really, there's something I want to talk about that's at the heart of this, that's the layers beneath, that's behind all of this, because the real problem is emotions. No, I'm not saying that we should suppress our emotions, that we should be emotionless, but we must understand the difference between talking and conversing and debating and interacting with someone who is basing everything they are saying off of emotion versus fact. Those are two very different things. I don't doubt that the people who feel very strongly against Star Wars theory truly believe in their heart of hearts that he is sexist. But those beliefs are more informed by their emotions than they are factual evidence. That doesn't mean you have to like him. You can say, I don't prefer his content. You can say, I don't like that he dislikes Disney Star Wars. You can say, I have different views and I enjoy the things he doesn't enjoy. Great. There's some of you that have left this channel because of the things that I've said. The things that I enjoy Andor, and you might not. I don't enjoy the sequel trilogy, and you might. But here's the point. My reasoning for disliking something isn't purely emotional. The things that I have observed, I can point to and say, this is why I don't like the sequel trilogy. This is why I don't like The Acolyte. And whether or not you agree or disagree, you will then take those things, and what's happening is the fandom is interpreting what is being said through their own emotional lenses. So when I say I don't think Amanda Stenberg did a good job acting in The Acolyte, what other people hear me saying is I dislike people of color or female actresses in Star Wars. Those are not the same thing. And to then say, hey, this person should not be allowed to sell their lightsabers. This person should not be allowed to be at an ICCC con that has built its brand on being open to everyone. Guess what that means? When you're open and available to everyone, you might be there with people that you don't like, that you disagree with. And that's okay. Because why? Because we're making a seat for everyone. That doesn't mean there aren't boundaries and there aren't reasons to say, hey, we are open to everyone. And there's going to be some people that have broken the rules. And the problem being is people are trying to prove that these rules are broken by Star Wars theory, and there's just not the level of evidence. Now, one of the other claims people will bring is that Star Wars theory is a divisive YouTuber, that he is the problem. It's him that's creating all of this drama because of his dislike of Disney Star Wars. No. Just maybe, just maybe. It's not Star Wars theory who's been influencing people to dislike Disney Star Wars, but maybe people who agree that Disney Star Wars is not good have found a place to hear some of those reasons. We gravitate towards what we like and what we know, and that's what's happening. So where do we go? What do we do from here? Well, I think no matter where you stand on this, there's one thing that you must do and that you can control and should do yourself. And it's hard. It's not easy to do, but I think we must all do a better job of explaining the reasons behind what we think. Here's what I mean by that. I think we have to be as clear as possible about the reasons why we dislike or like something. And maybe take some more time to think about it ourselves before we jump on Twitter or jump on a YouTube video and write it down and speak it out and all of those things. This is partly why I'm not the first to cover the breaking news, because I want to process it. I want to think about it. I don't just want to flip on my camera and rant, because you know what's going to happen? I'm probably going to speak out of emotion instead of grounding what I'm saying in something more substantial than that. And the second thing is we have to recognize when we're interacting with people who are not grounding their reasoning in something that at least is somewhat objective. If it's purely emotional, then that's just a non sequitur, non-starter. We just shouldn't engage. But if there's someone who genuinely has a different point of view and can coherently give the reasons why they think that, by all means, I think that's a good dialogue to have. There's tons of things. Even some of my best friends, we disagree, even on Star Wars and other things, but because we can explain why it is we hold to those perspectives, and it's not just emotional, it's not just a feeling, it's not just parroting talking points that are not grounded in reality, because that's kind of what our world is, then we can move forward. And I don't mean this to be a ranty video. I'm speaking to myself when I say these things, but I think when we see people overreact and then kind of just push and go, yeah, Star Wars series shouldn't be at a con. Why? Why? For what reason? I think we just have to sit back and relax. But the problem is, this is what Disney has done in the wake of what they've created. Objectively, they have created material to shove out onto a streaming service platform for the sole purpose of trying to make revenue. They have not really thought through the Disney Star Wars brand. And so they've created and hyped up and leaned into the emotional side of Star Wars, appealing to the emotional fans who have a perspective and they're going to be positive always. There is such a thing as toxic positivity as much as there is toxicity. And I don't think we should live in either of those camps. We can both look at the character of Rey, and I have a perspective and give my reasoning, and you have a perspective and give your reasoning. And we might come to different conclusions. But at least we're not basing it all on emotions. Because that's what I'm seeing right now, is everything is emotional. And it's not just Star Wars. This is what social media has become less than coherent conversations and rants and disagreements in comment sections. That's my rant for today. I hope this has got you thinking about the next time you might engage someone who has a different perspective than you, and just pause and think to yourself, do they have good reasons? And maybe I should ask about their reasoning before I attack their perspective. Why do you feel that way? What makes you say that? Well, how did you come to that conclusion? And then if they have an actual answer, we can have a conversation. And if not, we can move on. Guys, those are my thoughts. Thanks for being here. I don't know. If you like this kind of thing, if you like me just kind of giving some of my thoughts, please consider subscribing. I really enjoy this, and I enjoy interacting with some of you in the comments. I've really been enjoying our Andor rewatch and some of your guys' thoughts as you've gone back and rewatched it yourself, as well as we prepare for Andor Season 2. Yeah. If you want to see my reaction to the trailer, you can click right here. Didn't really love the music choice. I give some other thoughts too. Guys, thanks for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Remember, the Force will be with you always.